Hi, it's Lynn, and I want to talk today about my 9/11 story, what it meant to me, and what I've learned from it. Now, I was in New York that weekend. It was my brother's 50th birthday, and it was one of the most beautiful late summer weekends. It was warm and it was sunny, and it wasn't a cloud in the sky, and that lasted through 9/11. The party for my brother's birthday was on that Sunday, September 9th, and it was a very fun affair with a mixture of friends and family and coworkers to my brother. One of the things, though, that we learned was that my cousin's wife, who had been suffering from cancer for 7 years, was just given a terminal diagnosis. So the next day, my mom and I called Randy and talked to her on the phone and said our goodbyes. And Randy was just so giving in that conversation and wanting to know about us and learn about us. And because of that, I think that her death is so intimately connected with 9/11 for me. On that same day, on that Monday, I went walking in the morning down Lower Manhattan to an area called Canal Street where I used to work. And I met a homeless man and I stopped and gave him some money, talked to him for a few minutes, and walked on. And as I walked on, I saw the towers, which I think are roughly about 2 miles from Canal Street. And they were just beautiful, gleaming in all that morning sun. And I had the feeling that I should go down to those towers, but I wanted to go back home to Brooklyn to meet my mom. So I didn't do it. And that was the last time I got to see the towers. When I left on that Monday, there was chaos at the airport. There was a thunderstorm, there was a fire, and I sat at that airport for hour after hour after hour and didn't know if I'd get out. And in fact, the airlines offered me the opportunity to stay overnight. Had I taken them up on that, I would have been left in New York or stranded somewhere else for at least a week or 10 days because the next day was the day of the attacks. I finally got home to Minneapolis about midnight and went to work that next morning and helped orient the kindergartners through their third day of school. And my EA had to leave the classroom to take a child to the nurse's office. She was gone for quite a while. And when she came back, she pulled me aside to tell me about the attacks. Now, I chose to hold all of that in because of the kids, and I didn't want to upset them. I was worried about my sister a little bit because I knew that she worked right down there by the towers, and I didn't know what had become of her. So, anyway, by the end of that day, the entire staff came into my kindergarten classroom and stood on the large oval rug that I had in that room, and we held hands and prayed. A real experience of connection for me. Now, the people that were special at that time, Randy, the homeless man, I never found out what happened to him. Uh, many homeless died uh, that day because they often waited outside the towers or in the park that was nearby. They were also, there was a subway station down there, and some homeless people could have been there. They don't know. But I like to think that he survived and maybe his day was a little bit better for the few moments that I spent with him and the money that I gave him. And for my sister, She was arriving at work on the bus, and the bus stopped, and everyone had to get out. And she witnessed the attack on the South Tower, the second attack. And she grabbed the hand of a young girl, 14-year-old girl that she had met on the bus, and the two of them escaped running in the opposite direction. And they made it back just fine across the Manhattan Bridge into Brooklyn. And that girl, Maria, and my sister are still bonded to this day and have gotten together many times over the years. So it's those moments that of connection that I want to remember about 9/11, the people that were there on that weekend, my family, my friends, the people I met, and knowing that it was a time when we were all came together globally, where we all opened up our hearts. And that's what I want to think of, and that's what I learned. And I'd like to hear your story, which I'm sure you have one, and what kind of connections you were able to make. So if you could respond right down here in the comment section, uh, or shoot me an email, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, and see you next video.